week. We've seen them there. Are you confident then that the climate change message is getting through?
I think the message is getting through a bit more, and that's absolutely vital. That's why we're doing this. That's why I'm in the studio with you here this evening. So in that way, it's quite encouraging. This is an issue which will be the defining issue of our generation.
Sure, and I think people will understand that. But isn't there a small danger here that people will get a bit fed up, that your campaign in itself, you're draining police resources when they could be doing other things, as we heard there, and that in turn will lose public support?
I think the police resources thing is a bit of a red herring, really. Football matches. Every weekend you have loads and loads of police committed to working at football matches when they could be, whatever, dealing with knife crime or something. Are we going to cancel all football matches? I think it's an irrelevant argument. The real question here is, are we going to get serious about doing what we need to do to stop dangerous climate change? And we've tried all the old methods. We've tried emailing our MPs. We've tried ordinary marches. None of it's worked. We've only got a few years left now to change everything before everything goes to SHIT. So that's why we've resorted to this.
Let's keep this clean. Peter, to you, this is a red herring. You're not draining police resources with these protests we just heard there.
I was down at Oxford Circus this afternoon for a couple of hours, and quite frankly, I'm never going to get those 2 hours back. That's kind of how I feel. It was interesting at one point. About 10 police vans turned up, fully laden with officers. Many of them got out. They removed a handful or so of protesters that they carried into a van. And then no sooner had they arrived than they all completely disappeared. And it looked to me like there was a distinct lack of leadership, of command, of a clear and defined policy, because I, like I'm sure I speak for many, many other people, would like to see this lazy, ill-conceived protest brought to a standstill.
Right, how do you answer that then? Lazy, ill-conceived?
I'm not going to address that. I'm much more interested in this question of why it does sometimes seem as though the heart of the police isn't 100% in what they're being asked to do here. Well, and I have a theory about that. Look, let me just say this, it's very important. I have a theory about that, which is that the police have children too. And that's what this is about. This is about protecting our children.
But it is also about protecting the public too. And if you're breaking the law, don't they have a right to stop that?
Excuse me, the public, we're all going to be done in by this unless we get a handle on this. I wonder if you saw Greta Thunberg this week addressing the European Parliament, this amazing child from Sweden who's taken this issue all around the world, and she was crying. And she was saying, and the other climate school strikers have been saying, we're begging for our lives here. We're begging for our lives here. So we're rising up to respond to that call that those children are issuing.
Do you concede that there is a way to get your point across, and by breaking the law, that is simply not on?
Look, I wouldn't be here unless we had done all this law breaking. You know that very well. Everyone knows that. And everyone knows that we have right on our side on this issue. Pretty much everyone. Climate change denial, that's yesterday's news. Everyone now understands that our weather systems are breaking down. We're in real danger here of civilizational collapse. You don't have to believe me. That's what the UN say. That's what the IPCC says. That's what David Attenborough says. So we need to step up, and that's what we're calling on everyone to do. And if the government will listen to us, if they'll meet with us, we could end these protests.
This is a really difficult one, isn't it, Peter? Because the police are damned if they do and damned if they don't.
No, it's not difficult at all. Number one, this is not the way to create a social movement, because Extinction Rebellion are alienating millions of people this week, because you just have to tap into public opinion and you will discover that. And secondly, they've made their point. They've now been clogging up the streets, irritating people for 4 days. The Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police needs to grow a spine, get the backing of the Home Secretary, and these streets need to be cleared for everybody.
Well, the Home Secretary...
They have no rights.
The Home Secretary himself this evening has told police they must take a firm line with these climate change protesters, people like you, of course, Rupert. I mean, is there an end game in sight here? We've heard that some people have had enough.
I think Peter doesn't quite understand. This isn't just a protest. This is a rebellion. This government is illegitimate. They're illegitimate if they do not respond to an issue which, if we don't get through it in the right way, is going to end our civilization. It's going to collapse our society. That's why we're rebelling. If the government will meet with us and talk about how they're serious about changing their policies, we will end this rebellion.
I completely understand, and I also understand the fact that you and your cohort have absolutely no right whatsoever, number one, to try and hold the government to ransom.
You have children, sir.
Let me finish, please.
You have children.
Number one, one, to hold the government to ransom, and number two, to obstruct, interfere millions of people. People are flocking to London this weekend, tourists, because they want to see this great flagship city.
Can I ask
you
you,
and
do you
your
have
like
children?
are a stain upon the
Do you have
city.
children? I think,
Sling
I
your
think
hook.
anyone who understands this
Rupert,
issue, anyone who has children understands this
that's the
issue.
point.
Anyone who has nieces
we all
or nephews.
have children, I'm sure, but the point here is if you break the law, then you have to then reap the rewards then.
Absolutely, and all of our protesters, all of our demonstrators, all of our rebels are getting criminal records or whatever, if that's what the police want. It's up to the police, it's not up to us. So we're taking the risk, we're willing to make a stand, and I would say to everyone who's watching this now, who sympathises with us, come and join us. Come down onto the streets tomorrow. Find out what it's like, because it's actually really wonderful.
People do want to go to work. We heard there it's Easter, so it's going to be very, very busy. Other people do, they might not want to get involved in your protest. We have free speech, we have free will. You're imposing it on other people.
Look, if we don't get this sorted out, everything is going to be finished. That's what David Attenborough has just said, right? He's going to say it tonight on the BBC. This will be the end of life on Earth as we know it, unless we get this sorted out. We are rising up. History is going to be on our side, just like it was on the side of the suffragettes, just like it was on the side of the civil rights movement.
Don't flatter
when they
yourself.
broke the law.
Don't flatter yourself.
We're going to have to take this off air or offline. Thank you very much, Rupert Read and Peter Bleksley. Thank you very much. Some very strong feeling there.